Hey everyone, welcome to Rekt Radio episode 76. 76? Fuck, we've done a lot of these, yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. Wild. 76.
Yeah. Does not feel like we've done 76 shows, does it? Actually, maybe it does. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what...
That feels like a long time.
You guys are very close to 100. Like, getting there.
100
Half a year away.
Right? Yeah.
Getting there.
Today we have the amazing Jen on the show, the champion of Blast, and I'm sure many other things. I hope you don't want to be that person that just gets recognized for one thing, but I know everyone associates you a lot with Blast right now. But before we get to that, I'll just intro the sponsor real quick. As you guys know, show is sponsored by Rollbit. Check out rollbit.com. And we'll have 2 codes to give away. The first code is Gen Crypto 523, and that's Gen with 2 N's, by the way. Gen Crypto 523, and we'll give you guys the second code at the end of the show. And there's that. So Jen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I was gonna say, like, Jen with 1 N. Like, I don't know. It's a little bit of a red flag to me. I'm kind of just like, name looks a little unbalanced.
Yeah, Jenndefer's definitely 2. Jenndefer's definitely 2.
Right? It's like short for Jenndefer. Like, yeah, you gotta properly truncate it.
So you have a nickname on Blast, right? What is that OSF? It's like the Blast Daddy. Is that what they call you?
No.
OSF. They call OSF that?
There's something like that. Yeah, it's definitely something a bit weird. Like I'm
not sure where you've heard that, but
I want to know what group chats you're in. Can I get added?
Someone said in my Duck Jesus and Blast Daddy. That's what they've started calling.
Makes sense. I could see that. Really, in the Pac Moon streets, winning all the lotteries, rigging them. I hear it's rigged.
Oh, yeah, it's just me and the magic leprechaun that's in my closet plotting, trying to figure out, like, how do we throw them off our trail,
Right.
Throw some tin fun in there, throw some pew pew. Like, I didn't have pew pew. It's like, throw them off a little bit.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, pew pew was literally on the first day. Was it first day or like the second day at launch? It won the jackpot.
Second day, and then it hit it back to back, and I was just like, someone had pinged me about the pre-sale, but I was a little like in fantasy content land, so like I just didn't pay attention. And by the time I went to check it, saw it at like 1.3 million market cap, which I didn't realize was like the fair launch price. And I was just like, it's already over $1 million. Like, it's a Blast meme coin. We don't have the liquidity yet. Like, how far can it run? And then I saw it the next day and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? It went to like 7 or 8 million.
Or something, yeah. I think it's like
some
5 now.
Going on. Some movement going on Blast.
What happened to Baja? That coin. We were in Baja for a little bit.
Baja.
Asia.
I have no idea, but I have a fat bag that's probably not worth a whole lot anymore.
Well, at least it's a lot of tokens. That's the thing that counts, right? If you win the jackpot, so
exactly. It's how I justify losing money in my head. I'm like, jackpot opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm curious, like, how, before we get to the Blast stuff, like, I'm curious, like, how did you get into crypto? What were you doing before that? How long have you been involved in? Like, were you active during like the NFT days 3 years ago? Like, it's just curious to hear a little bit about your upcoming in the space.
Yeah. So ever since I was like a kid, I knew I wanted to go into like film and television. So I was
I thought you were gonna say ever since I was a kid, I knew I wanted to go into crypto, and I was like, whoa.
How old is
into Blast?
No, apparently I'm a boomer now. Like, that's what I've been told. Like, I'm 28 now, but basically when I was choosing where to go to college, I was going to go to NYU. I got into Tisch, but I couldn't afford it. And that was devastating as a kid. That was just like, this is the second best, if not like arguably the best, next to USC for film. And so I ended up going to community college. And at the time, like, my friends, like, I had been working a few BD jobs in the tech space in LA, and my friends were like, hey, have you heard of VR? And I was like, that's stupid. Who the fuck is going to put on a headset to experience stuff? Like, that's just dumb. And then like Oculus acquired Facebook. And next thing you know, I completely fell in love with the VR space and started doing everything I could to kind of like cement myself as a creator there. And I dropped out of college to do that. And that was fantastic. And so it was like 2 years in, I had hacked together cameras. I had worked at a few production companies, but next thing you know, I was directing and producing and DPing stuff for like Google, Vice, Samsung, United Nations. And one of my really good friends that I had met while I was like just going through VR was like, hey, have you heard of this thing called Ethereum? That was like 2016. And my friend Taryn is just like a giga brain. So she's like telling me all of these things. And all I got from it was like something about the future of money, something about like everything's public. There's a public ledger. And I was like, cool. So I took whatever, 20-year-old me at the time could afford and like bought some Ethereum, bought some Litecoin, bought a little bit of Bitcoin. And I got my mom involved because, the dGen like clearly runs in the family. And I told my mom, I was like, I don't really know what this is, but like, don't ape more than you are like willing to lose. And next thing I know, my mom is like, I just wired $20,000 to Binance. Like, I've been day trading this. Jen, I made like $6,000 today. If I can make $6,000 every day. And I'm just like, oh my God. So my mom and I are now, it's like 2016. We're on Binance, I think like BitThumb. Like my mom is like literally finding like all of these ICOs. I have no idea how, but she's like, we need to make an exchange account on like this website. And like, I go to the website, I'm like, this looks sketch as fuck. So we had some fun, we made some money. And then the crash of like 2018 came. And I think we were on a family vacation. And I just remember her being like, the market's down. It's down really bad. And I'm like, how much are you down? And I like look at my portfolio. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm down a couple $1,000s. It's fine. Like future of money. Like we didn't put in more than we were willing to lose. And like a few weeks later, my mom ends up getting fished for like over 70K. And that just like left like an awful taste in both of our mouths. So we left the space. And I go back to like focusing on my VR thing, like running all around the world, making documentaries. And, 2020 rolls around and it's a global pandemic. And it turns out when the world economy stops and everyone thinks that the world is ending, the last thing they want to fund is like a brand piece or a documentary. So my entire slate of work was canceled, like for the foreseeable future. And I was fortunate and lucky enough that I was able to like kind of keep myself afloat doing like e-commerce marketing, doing a lot of like content development around there. But I had this voice in the back of my head that was like, what was that crypto thing? Like, what was that? Because I was also at a point in my life where I'm like, God, I live in one of the most expensive cities. If I ever want to become a homeowner, if I ever want
Think we lost her. She froze for you guys.
Yeah.
it's not. It's right now.
You froze for a sec, but
I think we lost you for a split second.
We
but
missed
got
a
you back now.
couple seconds, but
Well, it's a boring story anyways. But I basically was like, oh yeah, what's that crypto thing? And I was like, I didn't even know where to start. So I started on 4chan in the biz section. And the next thing you know, like
you're deep.
I'm like
As you do.
setting well, like I was like, this is like it was pretty dGen and underground, like in 2016. I was like, I feel like the information on 4chan and it's gonna be anywhere. Next thing you know, I'm like aping shit coins on Binance Smart Chain, but like also at the same time, like simultaneously trying to understand like the fundamentals, right? Because I'm like, I want to make some money. I should like really figure out what this is. So in like 2021, I was more on the Binance Smart Chain than I was on Ethereum. Like I had heard of NFTs, but I was like, how someone spent how much on a monkey JPEG? Like what? Like it was just I could not understand it at all. And it wasn't until like 2022 when I went to go like do marketing at an NFT lending protocol that like NFTs really clicked for me when I was like, majority of assets in our day-to-day lives are non-fungible. Like if they all come on chain, they're going to come on chain as NFTs. Like the NFTs that we see today, like it's experiments with IP. It's also experiments with like, can this technology be a container that holds, over $100,000 worth of value, that holds over $1 million worth of value? Like how far can we push the transactions? And I was like, okay, let me spend way too much money on an Azuki. Like, you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I spent about almost a year at that NFT lending protocol. I helped grow it from like a cold start to over 200 million in TVL. And that was like in the depths of a bear. But a lot of issues with leadership there. And I also just like had this voice in my head being like, you shouldn't kill yourself for something that you have no ownership over. Like I was working 12, 14, sometimes 16 hours. There were days that I was pulling all-nighters and like it wasn't mine. But I was treating it like mine. And so there was part of me that was like, don't fucking do that. That's stupid. And also like you have tens of thousands of dollars worth of camera equipment like laying around in your apartment and you did content for like a decade, like you should get back to those roots. And so next thing you know, I'm, trying to make videos and be a floor influencer on crypto Twitter. And it's been a weird ride.
Man, that's a long origin story, and a lot of things happen along the way. I think we need to get your mom scheduled too to get her on the show next
Yeah.
week. Yeah. She sounds like
What's she doing now?
Rekt Radio. Yeah, dGen.
Oh no, she's not touching it. She's like, here are my keys.
Do something with it. The short-term,
much then.
Psychotic game.
Well,
Also,
the problem is her best friend, who is also like my aunt, also started shitcoining on Binance Smart Chain. And the next thing you know, my mom is trying to like do BNB pre-sales for like Shinobi Inu V7 Floki, whatever. And like, not how do you think
getting bad targeted ads? That sounds like what's going on in the streets right now.
And like my aunt would send photos to my mom. She like figured out a way to reg like her iPad, and then she bought a second iPad. Then she had like 2 laptops, and she's like watching. I think it was like Shinobi or like some of these like really dGen shit coins on Binance Smart Chain on multiple screens. And so my mom's like, I need something like that, and I was like, absolutely not. No, like stop it.
She sounds perfect for the industry and for the show. Speaking of dGen stuff, we never put those dGen trades in. I've been alerted, Mando. So I don't know if you can read your screen. I mean, people are making more money than usual by being flat and not trading the market.
Yeah.
On our
what do we
show.
think here?
So I don't know. We better ask Jen for her thoughts.
Let me have a look at the.
Oh, we've got to get Mog's on Rollbit now, isn't it? We've got to put a Mog trade on.
Hold on.
There you go.
Are you guys just like longing and shorting on Rollbit? Like
we're not making money. I think is what we're really doing.
Yeah, we're just doing that.
It's a tough challenge. Like,
Sometimes playing roller coaster.
Yeah, how do you know what trade to put on for an hour where you will make money without just like guessing?
Plus, you only get the winnings, right?
And you only get the winnings,
how do you know? Well, isn't that the key to the universe, OSF?
Well,
we don't.
There was just a big dump on Mog in the last few minutes, so it may be a good long opportunity.
Just short everything, Mando.
You've been selling? Here we go. Right. So Mog will be one of them. We're going to go long Mog. Pray for us.
Okay.
I'm not sharing my screen, am I? Sorry, guys.
Nope. Get the screen up.
Sharing.
So I'm taking notes.
Then we're going to go long Pepe.
Don't take notes.
Don't take notes. That would be counterproductive.
Actually, you can just what not to do type notes.
We'll do a. God, it just really wants you to do 1,000x every time I hit that thing.
I think you need to.
Trying to get you rich, bro.
Okay, we're getting long all
short
the meme
something.
coins. Nah, we're long all the meme coins. I'm sorry,
okay,
Katie.
Long another meme
executive decision here.
Whiff.
ETH.
Whiff. Get in the whiff.
That's whiff. I didn't even see it.
Do like 300x on whiff.
Yeah, you think 300? We're gonna get
make some people some money.
Okay. All right, 300. I don't even know if I have the limits. No, I don't have the limits. It'd have to be. Not? I don't know. Ask our friends at Rollbit.
Okay. Oh my God! Look at that P&L on.
Here we go.
Yeah, we're going to dinner tonight, or somebody maybe. Anyway, let's get back to the show here.
We'll check in on them a bit later.
Yeah, maybe somebody who's more, familiar with the blast route can start teaching me about the blast stuff here. I know we got Blast Daddy and Jen, who are both heavy in the streets. What are you guys doing on a day-to-day now in Blast? Is it died off at all? I know it was like really popping off.
No.
I don't know.
No.
I don't think it's done, no.
You guys think it's done?
No.
I don't think it's done. I think it just slowed down,
like...
right? It's like it had like the attention completely for a bit there, but now it kind of seems like, you know, it's Iggy Azalea and Caitlyn Jenner coins taking the attention and sold.
Yeah, for sure. I think like on the dGen culture side, like that's celebrity coins are where attention is, but I think in terms of fundamentals, I think Blast is still probably the most exciting L2 launch that we've seen. So they delayed the TGE until June 26th. Stats latest prediction was like $6 per Blast Gold, but he just posted this morning. He's like, I think the next estimate is going to be higher because he's like, the dilution isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And in my head, I'm just like, much higher, like
really
way higher.
I gotta
like,
check. What exactly is Blast Gold gonna do besides be sold? Like kind of my predictions are much lower. So it's actually red odds here.
Like what do you mean, like selling Blast Gold?
I just think it's gonna be like $2 for a Blast Gold.
Well,
I mean, I did a lot of analysis to get to that level, but I don't know. I'm just naturally pessimistic, I guess. Maybe that's a bad personality trait that my co-host
I think you both make good points. I think there's a fair value to this thing, and there's also the value of who actually buys it.
Yeah, that's what I can't really get to that part. So I'm interested to hear what you all think.
I mean, isn't it going to be the same people that buy Arbitrum, that buy Optimism, that buy all like the major L2
just
coins?
Go straight down for the most part.
No, Arbitrum actually came out less, right? And then it did rally.
It did rally, and then that big unlock occurred.
And it did die. I think
it's just a tough thing. I mean, I wanted to do well. I'm an investor in Blast, but
OSF thinks they might have a really high staking to start, which sometimes doesn't really
take some of the supply out of circulation.
Here's the interesting thing about Blast, right? There's this native yield thing. Everyone's like, oh, it's only 4%, whatever. Like, no one cares. Like, why would you care if you were on Blast, right? But let's say you're a protocol and you get a ton of TVL. And some of these protocols on Blast have 300, 400, $500 million in TVL, right? So if you have a protocol and you have $500 million in TVL and you earn 4% on that annually, that's a ton of revenue for that protocol without having to actually charge anything to your users. And it's the same thing for, you know, something even like Fantasy Top. Like when people are putting their ETH onto Fantasy Top in preparation to whatever, like buy cards or etc., they're able to earn that native yield on that as well. So for these protocols, it's a pretty interesting way to earn. And I know Manta has the same thing, but it just felt like Manta never really had the same community aspect that Blast had.
Is the yield Blast Gold?
No,
it's real yield. Like
that's what I thought.
So for Blast, like in addition to possibly taking revenue from the native yield, if protocols do choose to do that, they also get gas revenue. They're the only, like Blast is the only L2 that actually gives all of that revenue back to the devs that are pushing the on-chain activity. KBM, I think like real quick. So as you know, Blast is a heavily incentivized chain right now. There are two things that you're earning. You're earning Blast points and you're earning Blast Gold. Right. Blast points is based off of your direct TVL on the ecosystem. So however much ETH, USDB you hold, you are earning points every block for that. Even if you deploy, you know, ETH, USDB into protocols, as long as it stays in ETH and USDB, those protocols will give you Blast points because they get the Blast points and they just redirect it back to you. Based off of your actions and like what you do on the various protocols and platforms, you could earn Blast Gold. So Blast Gold is actually just awarded to the developers. And Blast is like, hey, here's all this fucking gold that is infinitely more valuable than points. Build incentive programs for your users. And here's like $2 million worth of Blast Gold that you're going to be able to distribute to help you bootstrap your growth. So like, that's why you see so many people like aggressively choosing different platforms to farm because we're trying to get a piece of that platform's Blast Gold allocation.
Yeah, no, that all makes sense. I think that, yeah, you both explained it well. And how treasuries can earn native yield was definitely one of the reasons I got involved in Blast in the first place, because you can obviously crush fees and competitors if enough people move there, enough TVL comes over. I guess the only thing is, like, what happens after the Blast Gold distributed and there's like an open market for that? Like, how does the Blast Gold price ever really appreciate? I know you compared it to like a governance token for like Arbitrum or something, but is that basically just what it is then?
I mean,
kind of like a way to speculate on Blast.
Yeah, the golden points were speculating that they will turn into the Blast token. So I imagine, like, after June 26th, like, everyone's points and gold's going to get converted. We're all going to claim some big airdrop. In terms of what happens afterwards, if Blast Gold is still part of the picture or Blast points, like, we have no idea. We know that a season 2 is going to probably be coming. I'd be really shocked if Pac-Man was like, one and done. That's it. All right, here's the ecosystem. So I think we'll just have to wait to see. But in the meantime, it's just like one of those things where it's like, I think, everyone should be doing everything that they possibly can to get as much Blast Gold as possible. I think this is going to be one of the bigger wealth generation events that we'll see this year. Just in the same way that we saw Blur be a pretty solid wealth generation event for a lot of folks in the space.
For sure, that makes a lot of sense.
I think the thing with Blast Gold is, like, the assumption is that Blast Gold will just turn into the Blast token.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's
okay.
So that's the speculation mechanism for it, right?
Yeah,
no, that makes sense.
And even if you value Blast at, let's say, like a $5 billion FTV, which would be the low end of the estimate, and put it below the other L2s, assuming a 10% airdrop, that's still a $500 million airdrop that's coming to the market at the end of next month, which is a large number.
But, like, it's interesting because, like, Blast is definitely, when you look at, like, the on-chain activity in terms of, like, how many transactions, how many new wallets, all of that stuff, and, like, keep in mind that, like, Privy is becoming a go-to for a lot of these platforms as, like, their wallet mechanism. And so, like, we just have to assume everyone has multiple wallets, which is what I do. But it's one of those things that, like, the growth has just been steady since it came onto mainnet, which tells me that there's no major capital influx right now. Yes, this delay does bring dilution, but they are increasing the allocation that they're going to give to farmers. So I think there's still opportunity here. It's just more of like, if you disengage, then you're going to be diluted, but you're not being diluted by new capital. I think that's like one thing. And then if you compare the on-chain data of like how these transactions are and just like the growth on the chain compared to like Optimism, Arbitrum, like the speed in which Blast is catching up is insane. I think I had a conversation with Stats about this, and I think what is ultimately going to drive price action and narrative is like the fact that, Pac-Man is arguably one of the most influential founders this year, one of the most influential names to be building in our space. I think there's this narrative of like Pac-Man makes people money and like people aren't going to fade that. But the biggest thing that's keeping people from coming in, and this is what Stats thinks, I kind of agree with him on this, is like we are speculating on magic internet gold right now that like everyone is trying to assign value to, but none of us actually know shit. And so until that actually converts into like real money, something that's tangible, we probably won't see major capital influxes into the chain, is kind of like broader take.
Yeah. I think it's tough. I think the thing about Blast is everyone who uses it thinks it's like the best thing. Well, most people who use it thinks it's like the best thing in the world, and they see the value and people are farming it, and they think it's going to come at a pretty high price. And people who don't use it just think the exact opposite. And I do think you have to like it feels different to like, I don't think it's just another farming thing. It feels very different because of the way the mechanics by which you can earn works, and it's actually quite fun to like try and use it. Like the whole idea of like trying to get gold and figuring out like which Dapps give you the best gold and what you have to do and put in the least capital. That whole thing in itself is like a game that I think people have just like, I've definitely just enjoyed doing I'm not going to say I'd do it for free, obviously, but like I've had fun doing it. It hasn't been like, it doesn't feel like a chore. It feels quite interesting. It's like you're like problem solving the entire time. But yeah, I still wouldn't do it if we weren't going to.
That's exactly what I think. Like you put it in a really good context there, which is like, this isn't really a blockchain to me. It's just a game. It's a game that everyone's trying to find the best ways to get the gold for. So like if you called this Blast is essentially the Axie Infinity of this cycle. Everyone's like going in there trying to do their different things to like get Blast, and there's different strategies to do it. And that is good in that you have like these loyal users who are like enjoy doing it. But at the same time, everyone else, I think the people who aren't on it see it more like a GameFi game where like if the price of that token goes down, everything is all about how much Blast and how much gold you can get. And if it doesn't quite meet up to expectations, sometimes these games become very not fun. And you've seen that sometimes, like certain times where like people have been disappointed by different ways that the game is done incorrectly or this sort of stuff. Like with the whole Pac Moon lottery, there was backlash around that. But like it has all the hallmarks of that to me. It feels like, oh, everyone's in it just for the gold and the Blast. And then we're all hoping that in the first distribution, if it goes up, like this game gets more and more fun. I agree. But if it goes down, then suddenly the reason why you're doing all this stuff just becomes less. And some people stay on and they'll make a ton of money doing it, or have different strategies to win the most gold. But it does feel like a risk-fi game, like almost like a wolf game, but like it's much bigger, far more complex, and a ton of people are playing it, or like an Axie.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think like, yes, it is gamified and like the incentives are obviously compelling and the incentives are obviously what draws everyone in, but this entire fucking space is a game. Doesn't matter what ecosystem you're on. Like if we're on Sol right now, it's like it's a game of which celebrity shitcoin is going to pump harder than the other one and which one has like some staying power beyond 48 hours, right? I think like with Blast, what you'll find is even if you bridge like ETH and USDB over, and even if you weren't to deploy that capital into anything and you just left it in your wallet, you will earn more having it sit in your Blast wallet than you would anywhere else, just like by the nature of native yield. I think there are a lot of foundational mechanics and system designs that will enable new metas to be born. Like we're starting to see it with some NFTs and these refundable mints, which I've actually grown to really love. I'm like, why the fuck would I ever mint an NFT again when I know I can like mint this, and if I get some airdrops, great, and I can be a community member. But if I need this because I want to go ape some fucking meme coin that just launched on Blast, like I can just refund this, and that's awesome. And all of a sudden, like that is the upside for me as a user, but for someone who's like an artist or someone who actually wants to build a community in this space, like they're now generating revenue not from the mint itself, but from the yield that the mint earns. And I think we're just going to continue to see new metas like that pop up for probably every single person in the vertical, whether they're an artist for NFTs, whether they're founders, platform builders, etc. And it's like the other thing too is ultimately we go to places where we think we can make money, but we also go to places that actually have really compelling product experiences. I think Blast has a developer incentive program that blows every other, developer incentive program we've seen on other ecosystems out of the water. Like Wasabi, which is this, was a perps and options platform on ETH mainnet for about a year. They only had 1,000 users actively using the platform. They launched on Blast and they're now at 30 or 40,000 users. Like that user discovery, like, of course, when the incentives end, are they going to have fall off? Probably, but I imagine they're going to retain a hell of a lot more than the 1,000 users that they had before, because people will fall in love with good products by the nature of using it during this farming period. So I don't know. I think like if we're talking about the game of attention, sure, like, and like I just think this whole space is a game. But if we actually like look at fundamentals and what truly enables for like this gamble-fi game experience to be alive, like I think Blast is so much more than that. And I know I have some bag bias. I've been like deep in this shit for a while.
It's a challenge that's like, because I do think, like you're saying, it is everything's a game. I do think with Solana meme coins, you can move on to the next coin, whereas this one you're getting more and more into it with each one. Let's live in the world where, like, let's say Blast comes out and gold is worth $1. What is the thing that we're all still doing on there? Like, what are the apps you think still have users? Like, if this is really like that, because I've seen some which have, like, fantasy seemed like a fun one. I got caught up with the duck during when it came big, but like, what do you think we're all doing if Blast does disappoint?
Like if the TGE price disappoints?
Yeah, just in general. Let's say it doesn't quite it ends up not being as good as.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to do a lot more like on-chain perps. I will still probably use the platforms that are on Blast for on-chain perps because I don't get charged fees. And like I said, I earn more yield on Blast than I do anywhere else. And like, even if I weren't really to touch the perps platforms, like the yield that comes from things like the Wasabi earn vaults, because there is activity there, the BFX vaults, like there's an opportunity. I would just treat it like a fucking bank account, to be honest with you. I would still make sure my exposure is there. I would still make sure I'm getting points. Maybe some more passive farming strategies on like the gold side. But like I would just probably treat it like a bank account, to be honest. Like, why would I?
Stuff, I can guess that. Yeah, the DeFi stuff. It's interesting that DeFi could be huge the way that you guys are talking about it. Like, it is a good point that, like, if the Arbitrum DeFi protocols move to Blast, they'd all make a lot more, right? They'd all make a fucking ton. How much is on Arbitrum? Like 20 bill or whatever that is? Like, huge amount. So in some ways, it's kind of surprising that it's so low. We've had discussion. It could go up a lot after TGE, do we think? Or
what? So this is one thing that I've noticed is like all of the TVLs across like DeFi Llama, L2B are all fucking like, it's not the same. Like, and it's really hard to differentiate like where can we compare like straight up DeFi TVL, like how much money is locked up in protocols. And I actually asked someone to put together a dashboard. Let me bring that up. Because like we can objectively look at that and actually look at like, if we're going to compare DeFi TVL, we're going to compare it to other DeFi TVL instead of the other numbers. Flip side. Crypto L2.
I guess what I'm trying to say is it does have a big opportunity in DeFi. Like you just said, if all the other stuff, which is basically just a game around Blast, falls away, then you might still do your perps there, right? Or you might still do your pool there.
Yeah, it's because centralized trading and perps should have a huge thing there, right? Can't the firms they don't have to charge fees if they're making native yield on the TVL, and if they incentivize the TVL collection to go up, they make more without charging any fees and stuff, right? I think that's kind of what Pac-Man pitched me when he pitched me Blast as the investment. Is like that clicks a lot, like pretty easily with everyone. So
as of right now, the only L2 that has more TVL than Blast is actually Arbitrum, like DeFi TVL. Blast is second. Arbitrum is 3 billion, Blast is 1.8 billion, Base is 1.7 billion. And even if you scroll down, if we look at the median TVL per protocol, Blast protocols have more money in them on average than protocols on other chains.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And then like look at the DeFi TVL distribution rate. Like there are way more native protocols on Blast that aren't available anywhere else.
Yeah, that's crazy. I guess because there's a high gold allocation for protocols that make themselves more Blast native, right? Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that they score the decision on. In terms of where,
but it's like gold. It's clear. It's like clearly working. Like having that like weight. And like, look, the time to reach 1 billion DeFi TVL, like you see Blast just goes bloop, like compared to the others. And it's the same thing with users too. That's why it's like I get like we should play devil's advocate and be like, okay, well, like on the flip side of the bull case, like what happens if it hits $1 or it launches and it's only $1? I just like, I look at this and I'm like, there's no fucking way. Like when we look at how much ETH volume has been transacted on the blockchain and the fact that it's only been around for what it'll be 3 months by TGE, like 3.5 months, somewhere around there, compared to all of these other chains that have been around for how long, that have like struggled up until this point to get as much traction as they have. Like, I just don't see a world in which Blast launches and it's $1 per token.
No, I don't think it's going to be $1 per token. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if it were, like, what are you actually, what are you sticking around for?
Definitely like the DeFi stuff DeFi and the native yield.
It's pretty crazy if you look at this website that we had up earlier. So obviously, like daily new users and number of total users, Arbitrum is the highest, having been around for longer. But as you said, Jen, like time to reach 500k users, like Blast has been the fastest there. Daily user growth for the last 30 days, Blast has been the highest there by a long way. Percentage of user retention, Blast ranks second to Optimism. Daily user growth rate in the last 7 days, Blast is the highest by a long way. Median number of daily transactions, Blast is the highest. Average transaction per user, Blast is the highest. Time to reach 10 billion transactions, Blast is the highest. Like it's winning on a lot of these metrics, and sure, that's because it's in its incentivization period, whereas the other chains aren't. But like that's what makes it kind of like the active thing right now, and the the L2 of choice. I think when the token is out and people get their choice of which L2 to go along as an ETH beta, like I don't know why you wouldn't pick Blast over the other things here.
Especially if there is a season 2 and there is more like free money coming. Like
there definitely will be. I mean, you know how Pac-Man operates, right? The game is never finished. The game, once you start playing the game, you're stuck in the game forever. It reminds you of like back in our old jobs when you get paid in stock, right? They'd be like, oh, we're going to pay you this much, but you get it in like stock and it's deferred, and you can only get it like once every 3 years, or like a third of it every 3 years, and you can never really leave, because if you leave, they say you lose all your deferred income. And Blast kind of feels like the same thing. My suspicion on Blast, and I think something that they could do to keep their Blast on Blast, is when they do the token launch, I think you'll have the ability to stake it, but you'll probably get native yield for owning Blast on Blast, and it will probably be some crazy APR. Like, I don't know, like they'll have a stake, like some of it will be allocated to a staking pool. Maybe you get like 50% APR or 100% APR or whatever, or maybe it's a fluid level based on various metrics. So people will be like, okay, cool, I could take my Blast off Blast and then sell it and take the money, or I could just keep it on and make another 50% in a year or 100% in a year, whatever it is. And I think some people will get sucked into that. Whether that works out to be a good trade or not is another question, but there's going to be definitely some incentivization to not want to sell your Blasts off the bat, I think.
I think I don't love the idea of staking, but I do like the idea if they put it into like an LP with like maybe you get the rewards for like helping. Yeah, I guess that is kind of staking, but you stake an LP rather than just like staking the token outright. Like these high emission tokens, they're sometimes not great, but if you just like build the liquidity around that initial price level, I think that probably helps it, right? Like if this has like again hundreds of millions of LP, or like 100 million in an LP around that price level, it's not going to go that much lower. It's going to take a long time for people to dump that thing. That would
got it. So max leverage long Blast when it comes out. Thank you for the financial advice, Mando. Jotted that down.
That sense from you, actually. Yeah. So let's go back to the other stuff. Like if let's say it does come up high, what's the funnest gamified stuff that you guys have been doing? Like the stuff that is more reliant on the Blast price being high. Like what are you guys having fun on at the moment?
Dude, I've been fucking grinding on Cambria. Have you guys played Cambria? It's like an
I haven't played it.
Yeah, it's like ETH stakes PvP RuneScape-esque duels. And then they're like adding a ton of features where you can then like wager on like NPC battles where they have like these characters fight against each other, and you're just all of us dGens remotely around the world are just gathering around this one pit being like, yeah, Tree, you fuck up that dragon. It's weird. It's weird, and I'm into it. Like I found myself like spending like 4 hours on it this weekend. Cambria is interesting. Like I saw someone posted on Twitter that they pushed like 25 ETH worth of volume in duels, which is actually pretty easy to do with a little bit of capital. And they got like 7,000 blast gold. I was like, what?
Wow.
I was like, I knew like the opportunity for gold was high, but I got really sidetracked with fantasy. But I was just like, you're telling me if I play this game for like 4 hours every day for a few days, draw up to like 25 ETH, I could get a couple thousand gold. Like, fuck yeah. So I've been on this pretty much daily. The alpha here is, I know this may mean nothing, but like the alpha here is literally just do like, there's 3 battle modes. It's like axe, whip, and dagger. Just do axe battles on aggressive stance the entire time. Like that's what I did with D's here. Because then it's like RNG. You might win, you might lose. It's not really skill based. It's more like spam click based, and if luck is on your side.
This is cool.
You might like this, KBM. You're a bit of an old school RuneScape guy, aren't you?
You're a bit of a wizard guy, aren't you?
I've literally never played RuneScape before, but I'm glad I'm known as that. I mean, I have played World of Warcraft and EverQuest, but RuneScape, no. But I mean, yes, I do like MMO type style. I mean, there hasn't been an MMO in a decade, so I don't have my hopes up for that Blast game being the next one. But you never know. I think that looks like a roll bit duel arena a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Like,
it reminds me of that.
It kind of looks similar to the Rollbit creative,
yeah,
a similar version on the site.
I
like
cool though. I mean, it looks good. It's something for people to like, something for people to do besides just farm by clicking buttons on, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's a little more unique. It's more unique.
They're also going to add like foraging and like all of that stuff. So like this is something that I've been really enjoying. Obviously playing fantasy, but I think realistically, if you want decent gold in fantasy, you have to. Well, actually, all the card markets are down right now. So if you're looking at getting into fantasy, now might be the time. While like a lot of these cards have dumped. Like on average, I've gotten like 500 gold per fantasy tournament I've participated in, which is like pretty solid for only spending 2 ETH. And then I have like my daily DeFi stuff. I try to do daily trades on Wasabi if I see a good trade opportunity. Otherwise, like I park what I'm not using, like my ETH and USDB in there to earn some Blast Gold and obviously yield. And then I do a little bit of perps on Blast Futures. I have like this long on Blur that's been open for like 2 weeks. And I think it's at like 200 or 300% now. And I'm like higher before Blast TG. And then I'm going to close that shit.
Love it. You know, that game reminds me of that Ethereum game. Is it World Wide Web or something like that? Or,
yeah.
Danny spent like $500K on a penthouse flat. I wonder how the real estate's going there.
They got like a 20 million. We actually met that guy. He came to the Rekt guy shows a lot. He's
Chris Webb's a good guy.
Chris Webb. They raised like $100 million valuation, and I think they've got a token coming. So Danny's always saved by the token, my friend.
Yeah, right. I mean, the game. I don't know. I thought it was okay. It was pretty good.
Our trades are also sending here, guys. It does look like we are going to be finally giving out some money.
Holy shit! It's blurry, but I see a lot of green. Oh my god.
Yeah, we're going to be giving out.
Wow.
Looks like at the end of this, Mog,
the best we've ever done.
Mog is unchanged. OSF, you were in the DM.
What level do we get in at? Because it's up.
I mean, they all get in at the same time, so I don't know.
Wow,
something.
Let's go,
Pepe. Let's go.
I want to say one really cool Dapp on Blast.
This
thing called Kettle.
Anyway.
I know you saw you tweeted about it a few times, Jen, but you can like trade luxury watches on it. You should check it out, KBM. It's pretty cool. Like,
I've heard of Cyrus just did Cyrus.
Yeah.
He likes to call himself. He just did
it's
that
pretty
big
cool
play in it.
Because you can like farm points on it, but they're not just NFTs which are worth 0. They're like real watches that actually have value, which I think is pretty cool.
So I advise the Kettle team. I've been advising them
cool.
before they were even Kettle. They actually started off in NFT lending. They were like a lending aggregator. Kettle is a really cool platform. Just remember that like the whole purpose of it, at least on the marketplace side, is that like it's one true price discovery because there's bids. So you can actually see what people are willing to pay. But I think because there are some incentives, like some of the bids are much higher than what you would find if you went and looked on like Chrono 24. But the team has done a really good job of trying to like give people the tools to make educated decisions about like what watches to look at by having like market comparables. Like if you click on one of those watches,
find a nice paddock for this intern.
Like, yeah, scroll down, like you can see market comparables of like Bezel, Chrono 24, verified eBay sellers. They bring that stuff in.
Yeah, another nice thing. A lot of people think something like this might be like a scam or something. The watches are fake. Now this one's been vouched by like some real heavy hitters that are very well trusted in the industry. So this thing's actually legit. So that's definitely RWAs.
I did. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead, Jen.
I was just gonna say, it's like I've sat in plenty of meetings with the team and like have talked to them and like by extension talk to like their watch dealers that they work with and their vaulters, and these are very legit conversations that are happening. It's very, very cool. I think like this was kind of why NFTs clicked for me, was when I was like, things are going to start coming on chain in the form of NFTs, like RWAs, insanely bullish.
Yeah, this is awesome for sure.
I bought one of the on the last NFT drop they did. They have different mystery boxes and they reveal into like a watch. And they have different classes, but I bought one of the baller boxes, which is like I think they were like 30 ETH or something like that. But I got
oh my god,
yeah. If you scroll down to that baller box, so it's one of like 3 watches. I think 2 of them are Pateks and one of them is like a Rolex Daytona or something. But I got about 5,000 blast gold for buying one. And if I reveal it, there's more blast gold that I would get. And then you could potentially sell the watch and whatnot. But you could kind of like, if you play your cards right, I think this is what Cyrus was saying with all the boxes that he bought, depending on like what level blast comes out, you could potentially end up with like a free watch, like a pretty decent watch, which is not worth 0. Or at the very least, you would make money on it. And it's kind of like a cool thing to do.
Or you,
so I thought,
you bought it at a significant discount because all the blast gold you get ends up discounting the watches by like 40, 50, 60%.
Yeah, exactly, which is pretty insane. But that was cool because I can see like people trade collectibles like watches and I don't know, maybe other jewelry and whatnot. But like watches is a massive market, and there are so many frictions to actually like buying and selling stuff. Whereas if you could just do this, and I know like probably it means the watches like never actually move; they'll just stay in some vault somewhere, and people are just like degenning with them online. But I just know so many people in real life who are not even really in crypto. If they could do that, they would do that all day long. Just sit there like trading watches and stuff.
That was actually like the huge problem statement that they wanted to solve with the marketplace. Because what's interesting is they actually started off lending marketplace. They didn't do like the buy sell side. And like the problem there is like lending, like consumer luxury lending has not been disrupted in like a century, basically since it was born. It's always the same mechanism. You go to some like verified lender, that lender inspects and it's like, well, this is the best that I could do for you. And it's like there are hundreds of millions of Americans around the world, like around the US at least, that go to pawn shops to try to get loans on jewelry, on watches. And like the thing is like you're beholden to whatever the pawn shop tells you. Most of these people have no idea like what the asset is actually worth. And all of a sudden it's like to actually do your diligence, it's like you need to go to multiple pawn shops, should probably call some online lenders, then compare all of these rates. And like the one common thing about all of the rates is they're all insanely like predatory. Like it'll be like, oh, it's like 5%, but then you look at the annualized rate and it's like over 100%. And so there's just like a lot of like these hidden things. Whereas something like Kettle, you can go on, if your watch is tokenized, you put it up and like it's just peer-to-peer lending. and the rates are significantly lower. It's crazy. This is why they've like been able to do so much loan volume, because they found a couple of guys that are like, yeah, here's my collection. Would love to do something with it. I don't want to sell these watches, but I need some liquidity. And so I think like platforms like Kettle have a really compelling use case for the folks who actually aren't here yet. And obviously, like, get your battle test your tech with the dGens, but I think they're going to be a pretty big consumer play in the coming years.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really interesting one that I sort of have my eye on, because it's one of the few things in crypto, let alone Blast, that I've been able to explain to a normie. It's like, hey, you can actually just buy and sell this watch without having to like physically do it. Which I think is pretty cool.
How many watches do you own at the moment, OSF?
I did get hit in about 12 watches, and then I dumped them all into bids because I was feeling a bit overexposed to the luxury watch market.
Love that.
I did lose money on that trade, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my god. Did you get some gold though?
Didn't even get that much gold.
Oh no.
Well, I was like 10th. I was 10th on the leaderboard, but for some reason they didn't distribute that much gold in the first season, and they rolled it all to season 2. And I was just like, oh fuck's sake! I just lost about however much I lost, like 30 grand or something, and then didn't. Didn't unless gold is as $20, I'm not gonna do well on that one. But I was like, well, instead of just like mass doing it, why don't I actually like do it with something that could be worth, that could be interesting and worth more. So I went for like the larger box and just put an offer on that and tried to get points that way. But I don't know. I don't think I've chucked money. Well, I've just chucked time and money at a few different Blast things, and I reckon I'm probably only going to make money on like less than 50% of them. But obviously I had some big pack moon jackpots, which just offset everything by quite some long way. So like the net result is, I think I'll do well, but if I was a bit more thoughtful like you guys, then I probably could have done a lot better, but it's just not really my style to be thoughtful. So I just kind of like click first and see what happens.
I think we're in a space where that kind of strategy, that left curve strategy, is ultimately going to make more money than like let's like break this down. For every dollar I spend on this platform, this much gold. And like, no, fuck that shit. Just like left curve all day, every day, as much as you can.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Well, we're bumping up against the time constraints here. Should we look at those trades and see what's going on? And
we haven't really moved.
Closing questions.
They haven't really moved since the last. I am slightly tempted just to leave them on for the week.
Leave them on for what?
Leave them for the week? What?
The fuck? Bro, cash out now and give that money away.
Anyone else feel like that? We should do that.
Maybe the Pepe. Maybe the Pepe. Or the Mog.
That is a generational bottom there, KBM. That is a generational.
That was it? I mean, the viewers are not going to get paid again. You're on 50x on Pepe. Like, there's a good chance you're not gonna.
Yeah, you don't
come
think?
Back to
let's see what the comments think.
Should we close 2 of them and keep one of them on? Because what if one of them just absolutely crushes it in a week?
Okay,
right?
maybe we should do that. We should just keep one on for the week straight.
Yeah.
Actually, no. We should just give away the money. Give away the money. If we
No,
haven't given anyone money,
on. That's
probably give away the money.
I reckon keep one of them.
I think
the trade might not be as good next week. Like the entry point.
Cash out. The whole comment section says cash the fuck out.
Well, how about you cash out Whiff and Pepe and keep
leave it. Yeah, people want it. People want it, man.
People ride it. They want the risk.
You know what? It won't make a difference for next week's show because they're going to be liquidated and we're going to forget about it. So
yeah,
whatever you want to do.
Anyway, let's take them. Let's take them. Let's have some wins here for the community, I think.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're giving away $3,000. Who wants
the chat does not believe. They think this is all facade. Never giving away anything. Anyway, for one of the final questions, Jen, we got for you is what's your best advice for the audience not to get wrecked out here?
Oh God. Use multiple wallets. At the bare minimum, have something like a pocket verse or a wallet guard that like double checks your transactions. I literally like a few months ago, and I posted about this, I almost got drained I was like high on my couch, sleep deprived, like on Twitter waiting for like some fucking mint. And like I was looking in the comment section and I accidentally like clicked on something and I was like, oh, like this pre-sale is now doing an NFT. Like that's weird. Like, oh, I guess I should claim my NFT. And it like literally almost got drained. And Wallet Guard was like, you're about to give this like
you're about to get drained.
yeah, you're about to get like give away
hey mom
all approvals. And I was like, holy shit. So don't trade while stoned. Use multiple wallets, use a cold wallet. But like when I say use multiple wallets, it's like I try not to have, I obviously like have a main hot wallet, but I have multiple hot wallets. So that way, God forbid, one does get compromised. It's like one of like 10, as opposed to just like everything's in one basket. And you know, security is boring as fuck, but you know what's sexy? Like keeping your money and not losing it through a scam. So it's like, please, 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 at the bare minimum, like have something that makes your signatures and what you're signing human readable. And also, like, I'll show this real quick. DeFi Llama has a really cool extension that kind of just shows you on Twitter, like who the original poster is. And if a post has like a contract address, they'll automatically hide it and you have to reveal it. And so it just helps be a little bit more intentional when going about the chaos of our daily space.
I like that. I think you're the first person who really shuts OPSEC and security for that question. I think that's paramount out there. People can get really lazy on that really quickly. Make sure you back up your wallets, private keys, offline, you know, all that kind of stuff. Have a second phone for your authenticators. All that kind of stuff is
like,
pretty necessary.
It's my fucking heart because like I have baby bags and I'm like poor, you know, and it's like my bags are now at a size where I'm like, oh my God, like I don't think I have to stress for the next year if I do this right. And like potentially, who knows, maybe I could retire at the end of the cycle. But it's like if I ever lost any of that because I was just randomly clicking stuff, like I would probably sink into a pretty fucking deep depression for at least a week or two.
Just a week or two.
Just a week or two. And, you know, you gotta
it's all avoidable. It's all avoidable, like you're saying.
Exactly.
Do we do Twitter picker right now for the giveaway? Are we doing that or no? Intern, can you tell me? All right, we haven't given away money in so fucking long. I have no idea how we even do it anymore.
Let's do the Twitter picker. In the meantime, should I give away the second code?
They're clamoring for it in the chat.
Second code is Rekt EPIK 9017.
Rekt EPIK.
Only real ones will know how EPIK is spelled.
That's the epic duck. Yeah.
That's the epic duck. Yeah.
Yeah. I completely missed that. I don't know where to look.
It's going to a buck. So you got
still early.
It's
way early.
It's duck to a buck. So I mean, you got a lot of sense yet. But anyway, what do we got here? The Best Boy 121, Ice Tree Bath, and Kalowski. You've won some money. Not sure how much. Probably like $1,000.
Yeah.
I don't know. Intern will reach out, right? I guess that's how it's done nowadays.
Yeah. Intern will reach out if you guys want
to just DM him. Actually, you have
DM the Rekt Radio Twitter account. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was fun. Thanks for coming on, Jen. I don't know. You guys got any closing statements or anything else before we head out?
No, I'm happy to get more involved in Blast. If it goes to 10 billion FTV, you have to come back on and keep this show going. So yeah, good luck for later this month or next month, is it?
Thank you. I'm much paler than I usually am this time of year, and it's because I go outside once a week, and I'm very much looking forward to getting a little bit of sun. The last thing I will say is like I do put a lot of time and effort into making some like educational focused videos on like just like my on-chain journey, but if you watch some of them, some have study assignments. And I was fortunate enough, like the last video that I did with stats, you know, Pac-Man through 5 ETH, a bunch of projects through and a fuck ton of protocols. And now it's like, I'm in the process of giving away over 20 grand to people who like actually watch the video and engage. So like watch some of my content and maybe you'll get paid to learn something, you know?
Perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no.
Thanks, definitely. Thanks a lot for coming on, Jem. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thanks. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.
Cheers. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.